So, will the dollar collapse in 2016, specifically May 28th? That's when people are saying it is now Saturday, May 21st, 2016. And this is the third time I've tried to make this video, but the dog's here. Oh my gosh. I'm in the Philippines and I am a Forex trader. I'm also a private investigator. I know a little bit about these things. I'm a businessman also. Um, they're they're saying the dollar is going to collapse on the 28th of May 2016, and like I said, it is now the 21st. That's New York time. It's 2:48 p.m. New York time. Yeah, and what I see is a lot of fear mongering. Now, there's no doubt about it that the Obama administration especially has created a huge bubble, and that bubble is going to burst. There's no doubt about it, unless unless we can get somebody in that will save it. And the only hope that I can see is Donald Trump. We've had years of sellout politicians and lawyers in the government, and they've done nothing but sell us out to the globalists. Peter Schiff, he's the president of the Euro-Pacific Capital, and he's also saying there's going to be an economic collapse. Well, he's part of the problem. He's the president of the Euro-Pacific Capital, and what they've done is they've created all this debt, and they're trying to collapse the US dollar. They really are trying to do this, and nobody can say exactly when it's going to happen. I tried to find something on the May 28th date that they're saying, and the only thing I could find is when that's going to be when it's going to be time for them to renew the stimulus, or the pumping up of the dollar. It's also a fact that Russia and China have been trying to dump the dollar. And if you don't understand these things, and like I said, it's a bit complicated, so I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. Um, the US dollar is the world currency, and whenever they trade, whenever these different countries trade, they always trade everything in US dollar. So what happens is these countries, they end up holding on to a lot of US dollars, and our country has been able to um, pretty much just credit everything. So we are in so much debt. It is over doubled since Obama took office in the presidency. And I think it's done by design. You've probably heard the uh, where they're trying to get rid of cash and they're trying to create a one world currency. And that, I believe, is true too. But what will happen is, like I said, I'm also a Forex trader. So the dollar actually took a dive last week, and then it recovered this past week. So um, it's that doesn't really mean anything, but being that the dollar is the world's reserve currency, then if they collapse the dollar, all these other currencies are going to collapse also. I mean, it will send the whole world into chaos. Now, that's something that the New World Order would like to see, but they're not ready for that. And what they would have to do would be create the one world currency. This video here, if you notice, I mean, he tells the truth in this video. But look at all these advertisements. And they've got, I mean, they've just flooded the internet. They're fear mongering, trying to sell their survival stuff. And that's what I've seen. And I had to go through a lot of research to try to find out the significance of May 28th. And, it's amazing. And you've heard in the past they've talked about, oh, April 13th and December 15th or whatever, and then the time goes by. They cannot collapse the US dollar, at least not right now. They have to create the one world currency. Now, I actually watched this video, and he does tell some truth, but a lot of it's old news. He talks about world currency called the Bancor, and that was in 1944. So he's trying to rehash some old stuff to try to make it significant for today, and it's not. Now, the debt is actually growing faster than the GDP. Okay, that's the gross domestic product. So in other words, we're spending more money than we're making. Now that's not news. Um, the guy Peter Schiff, he blames the government and he blames paper money. The paper money has nothing to do with it, because if as long as it's good money, there's nothing wrong with paper money as long as there's something to back it up. And so he blames the government, he blames the bailouts, which is true, but at the same time, Americans are getting taxed to death with regulation, NAFTA, everything. They've been shipping our jobs overseas. So it's just you look at cash withdrawals from the ATMs, they're limited. Um, so before anything like this could happen, look for inflation. When things start to go up, the products and the services that you buy, it will start probably with commodities. So I would say food, gas, oil, things like that will go up significantly. Um, that would happen before the dollar crashes. That's my opinion. That's what I think. They need to create a one world currency, and then they would have to get rid of the cash. I'm not sure exactly how they would do that, whether it would be first, but my speculation is what they'll do is they'll create a one world currency and then say, okay, well, everybody has to take and cash their dollars in at the bank and get the new world currency, and then they won't give you any cash. Everything will be on a debit card. So they'll do that. They'll create the one world currency, and then they will get rid of the cash, because you'll be required to cash in, trade all your dollars for that new currency. I don't see that happening anytime soon, because if they crash the US dollar, all these other countries, all these other currencies will crash too. These people are fear mongering. They're fear mongering. And yeah, we're in trouble. Yeah, the economy is in a big bubble. Look for the stock market to take a dive. Once the stock market takes a dive, then inflation starts to hit, then watch for it, because that's their plan. They want to crash the currency so that they can create a one world currency. Well, the problem with that is Russia and China are not on board with that. In order for them to create a world currency, they have to get all the nations on board. And then we also have the thing with Brexit. That's the British trying to exit the euro, and they're tired of the globalists. Um, they have policies in place. Their politicians mean nothing. They, their people are unable to vote on anything. It's all a fiat vote, and that's what's happening in the U.S. They have nothing to replace the world reserve currency with, and I explain all that here in this article on my best Forex strategy. I also explain a lot of it in my best Forex strategy, because if you really think the dollar is going to collapse, no, look for it to drop, and once it starts to drop, then inflation starts to go up. But watch the news, not the mainstream media, but when our government, Paul Ryan and them traders, they signed on to that big deal last I think it was January or December or January, and what they did was they basically gave America a bailout. And oh well, we're going to keep the government from shutting down. I think the government needs to shut down, And but the thing about it is, because people are still going to get their social security checks or whatever, that's all guaranteed. But the thing of it is, look for the stock market to crash. Once the stock market crashes, the the interest rates, are going to go below 0%. They're at 0% now, and look for inflation. Once inflation hits, then look for the dollar to crash. There's just no way they can crash the dollar in the next 7 days. They're not going to do it. These countries that are holding dollars will lose trillions. The globalists will lose trillions. So if you're really scared about that, best thing you can do is buy gold. Gold will always hold its value. China is trying to nab up a bunch of gold right now. So the price of gold may be increasing here soon, but I'm not trying to give anybody any financial advice. Just, this is just my opinion, but you can leave a comment below or whatever and see if I'm not right. The dollar will not collapse. These people are fear mongering. Look at all these ads. They're trying, and most of them are like from Money News, Economic News Today. So they're trying to sell you survival things. They're trying to sell you gold coins. They're trying to sell you whatever they're trying to sell you. I didn't really look into that, but that's what they're doing. They're fear mongering, trying to make a fortune off of it. And if you really are concerned and you want, pick up a copy of the best Forex strategy. It comes with a free copy of the Codex of Money, which is my ebook, which explains how these bankers operate. Because if the dollar collapses and you're in the right position, you can make a fortune. And I've already got my hedge in on it, and you will make a fortune if you do it right. And I explain all that in my best Forex strategy. That's not the purpose of this video. I'm just tired of seeing all this stuff where these people are talking about the dollar's going to collapse. The dollar is not going to collapse. And here's the Codex of Money. It explains this stuff. I take a different approach, and I look at things the way bankers look at things, and that's the way you have to look at it. They're not going to collapse the dollar. That's my final word on that. And if you're concerned about it, take $100 and put it on the dollar to drop. If it does drop, if it does collapse, you're going to bank out. You will bank out. I can't tell you what currency to put it in. Maybe put it against gold. That's probably about the best advice, gold or silver. And you will bank. If the dollar does collapse, you will bank. But I explain all that in my best Forex strategy. It's like these dogs are going to start barking again, so I'm going to cut this short. So that's my take on that, and the dollar will not collapse.